बहुत सारे इंस्टेंसेस होंगे जब लोगों ने कुछ गलत कर दिया, और गलत इन अ कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड वुड मीन लॉसेस, राइट? कि कुछ इट्स कॉस्ट अ लॉट टू द कंपनी. हैज देयर बीन इंस्टेंसेस जहाँ पे आपने उस चीज में आपने कैसे रिएक्ट किया उन चीजों में? इज आर देयर सम इंस्टेंसेस दैट यू कैन शेयर, और व्हाट टू हाउ टू रिएक्ट इन दैट सिचुएशन?
Okay, let me put it in this way. गलतियां होती हैं, as I said. One thing is, which I say, and I say to my family, my son also, and this is what. And I'll tell you one more thing, good thing. Uh, my son is also, when I was transiting into a leadership. My son was also moving from his college to his schools to college. So what was happening? I was having a book at my home, I would say, कि how to handle a management trainee, how to handle youth, how to handle this thing. Because when I was seeing something getting reacted in the office, I was seeing my own son. Yeah, his expectation is also the same. Then if his my son's expectations is same, I'm sure the same expectations will be another young person who is working in an organization. So I'll tell you, for me, my son was a big. I learned a lot from his daily habits. For example, let me tell you, and coming back to your question, see what happens when you empower someone, you also empower him with a certain risk. For example, if you are investing on someone, आपको ये पता होता है, or the experience is, or you have to evaluate that if this person goes wrong, what is the percentage or the level of percentage he can go wrong. That is most important. So what happens? And then you also need to know, that is the reason when you are dealing with the people, reviews are important. And that is the reason I always say ki I always have an open door policy, that no one should fear to walk into my cabinet and say कि सर ये हो गया है, or sir I want to discuss this with you. मतलब, even if you see Gurleen was kind enough to just call me up and say कि sir I want to do this. So this is something, because for ages he has seen me doing that. That he can just pick up a phone and say, sir I need your advice. I need. So what I'm trying to say is, when you do an investment, you also need to assess a risk. I Whether you call it a hedge, that यार ये गलती इस लेवल पे कर सकता है, and this level of mistake can, what loss it will bring to the organization. Is it going to be a big loss, or is it a loss which can be managed and it is a learning and we can move ahead? See, हर कोई गलती करता है. I have done mistakes in my life. My bosses must have done in this thing. I don't think any businessman who can say safely that I have never done a mistake in my life. Even today, I launched 10 projects, and out of them 10 projects, only 3 projects must be successful. 7 I shut it. So that's part of life. The important thing is, do you learn from those mistakes and then move ahead, or you are repeating the mistakes? If you are repeating the mistakes, then it is a crime. But if you are learning from their mistakes, and I keep on saying, कि if if you are investing, you also know that the amount of risk you are taking on that person. And initially, the risks are not that high. You are not going to tell a youngster tomorrow joining an organization to go and do a 10 billion industry. You are just going to give small baby steps. So I would put it in this way, that for the youth, for at least 1 or 2 years of his career, it is better to walk than run, because once he starts walking, then he knows the impacts, because that is where he learns the tricks of the trade. एंड सबसे बड़ी बात, जैसे मैंने बोला कि गलतियां होती हैं. नाउ you will have to understand, and say, I'll tell you how I learned it. When someone comes to me, and because this is what I have been mentored by my seniors, and that is what the legacy I have been passing to the next generation, I would say. My boss used to say like this. So, and when he used to say like this, मुझे समझ में नहीं आता था what does he mean. So when I used to go for a problem to him, he used to say like this. Like this means, you put all the positive things on the one side and negative things on the one side. सो अगर आपको लग रहा है कि आपके पॉजिटिव पॉइंट्स ज़्यादा हैं, गो अहेड विद द डिसीजन। एंड अगर आपके नेगेटिव पॉइंट्स ज़्यादा है, स्टॉप दैट डिसीजन। सेम थिंग आई गो एंड रिप्लिकेट टू माई टीम। कोई कहता है मुझे कि क्या करना है, again we call it today data, we call it analysis, but in our age it was more of a this thing. So go and do the analysis, create a process. See, once you are having a process, उस प्रोसेस में अगर गलतियां हो गई ना, तो you know that this is the reason that mistakes have happened. So while delegating the powers, you also need to create a process. So when you create a process, you know कि the margin of I would say failures are lesser because there's a process behind it. And then he can't be ignoring the processes. He can't be ignoring that. But once you create a process, then I would say the margin of failures are very less. And that is where I call it as a risk, hedging the risk. Then मुझे मालूम है कि अगर इस प्रोसेस में कुछ गलती हो भी गई है, तो risk will not be such a big impact कि मेरे organization कोई फर्क पड़ेगा. So to be honest, coming back to your question, I am mentally prepared that this can happen.
यू कैलकुलेट कि ये वर्स्ट केस सिनेरियो ये हो सकता है, और उस बेसिस पे मैं क्या ये अकाउंटेबिलिटी देना चाहता हूँ इस पर्सन को, और अगर देना चाहता हूँ और अगर उसने कुछ गलत कर दिया तो फिर यू विल हैव देयर बैक, एंड whatever the person's cost, that will probably be taken up by the company, or that will be taken up into account, and that person will probably um, be guided, be probably had a conversation with that this could have been done better, or whatever the feedback loop, or whatever the you know review circle is.